Hi, my name is Marlene Pollock and I live in New Bedford. And I'm here to testify that the cost of daycare is so unaffordable that many families can't even come up with half the money. Our grandson has been in childcare since he was born, and the cost is $252 a week for 4 days. My son and daughter-in-law cannot afford this, and so we've had to come in and step in and help out. But what about if there are grandparents who can't help their kids? Wages are not keeping up with these childcare costs, and it's become completely unaffordable and not very available. So we need universal affordable childcare. It's long overdue. Thank you.
I am Jillian Phillips. I have 4 children, 3 who are living. I have a 9-year-old and twins who are 2. Um, during the Prior to the pandemic, my mom used to watch my children in home. The only way I was able to have the family that I have as a single parent by choice was to have the support of my mom. And unfortunately, she passed away 5 days into the pandemic. So we went from having that support, having that steady schedule every day, to there being a global pandemic where the kids were home all the time, I was home all the time. And so trying to coordinate working full time with caring for, at the time, 15-month-old twin boys, as well as my 8-year-old special needs daughter was a lot. So I was waking up early to work, being with them. When they went down their naps, I would try and work more, put them down to bed, try and work more. Sometimes I was having meetings during the day when they were awake, and it started to get to a point where it felt like I had told someone they were raising themselves in my living room while I was in the kitchen next to them, trying my best to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I'm a social worker. I work in early intervention. So I know very well, how great childcare can be, but also the struggles that families encounter trying to find quality, affordable, appropriate education for their children. So I did try and find an in-home daycare for my children. I was fortunate enough to be able to access at the time a voucher, which I didn't think I would have qualified for, but was very happy to see that I did, because the out-of-pocket costs for my 3 kids in full-time care would be well over $4,000 a month, which is more than, as a social worker, I bring home. So that certainly was not going to be an option, as well as paying a mortgage and feeding my children. The home daycare that they went to, there were very limited choices. Obviously, during the pandemic, many had to close their doors. Many were working very shortened hours. And unfortunately, after a few weeks in the in-home daycare, one of my twins had unexplained injuries that ended up needing him to be removed from that program. And it took a month before I could find another program that had an opening for the 2 boys together. Ended up being almost 40 minutes away from me, but it was a quality program. But in order to access that program, I was now driving, an hour and a half each morning and an hour and a half each afternoon to get them there and back, which extended their time in care. In that movie, someone said, we get home at 6 and the kids are in bed by 6:30 and they're eating fast food. We drove by a McDonald's on our way home every night. And that was one of the twins' first words, which is not something I ever wanted for my kids. But by the time we got home in the middle of winter with the storms, it was late at night. But I knew that they were getting good quality education. However, once we move to a point where the state is no longer covering co-pays, that will put me in a difficult situation again. Even with the help of the voucher supporting a portion of the payment, it is still financially a stretch as a single parent to be able to afford 3 children in care. And I want my kids to have good quality care. Them being in a home daycare would be much less costly to me, but at the risk potentially of their social and emotional development, and of the education that I think my children need, as well as Tim had mentioned that he needed a place where all of his children could go together and get their needs met. My daughter is able to go to the same center with the boys, but is in an age-appropriate classroom with other children that are doing age-appropriate things with her, versus an in-home daycare that may not have had the opportunity to provide her with the same peer support and stimulation that being a child on the autism spectrum she really needs and benefits from. So I really hope that the legislatures can see how beneficial it would be to all children to be able to access, if not free, very affordable childcare.